Who doesn't love a little comic book cards? Whether you like them or not, that's the topic today on Base is Beautiful. Stick around.
It's a long fly ball deep to right. Way back! It's gone! Home run! How about that?
Boom! Laka!
Marino was right on target. We are live from the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. There's a sellout crowd, of course.
Oh, did you just call it? And he does!
Welcome back to Base is Beautiful. My name is MD, and today I want to talk about comic book cards. Yes, comic cards. Comic cards are an awesome part of the non-sports hobby, and those of you who know, they're cool. They're part of the nostalgic factor, especially once you get into some of these early 90s cards.
X-Men, welcome to die!
But the reason I have this out here and the reason I wanted to do this episode is really in honor of my buddy Justin. Justin is a good friend of mine. He's a fan of the channel. He collects comic books, and he's also gotten into collecting comic cards. And he's going through a hard time right now. His wife is receiving treatments for a very serious strain of melanoma, and him and his family are just kind of going through it right now. And so collecting cards and talking about the hobby with Justin has been a fun way that I've been able to help take his mind off of some of the struggles that he's dealing with his family, and also just help him as he's trying to get established within figure out his own path in collecting. One thing you should know about Justin is that he's an artist. He's a great painter. I have a lot of his canvases up in my house, and here's just a few assorted ones that I have. And of course, he's done dozens and dozens more. But Justin is a great artist. I love the landscapes he does of the terrain here around Northeast Mississippi, and I love his painterly, impressionistic style that he's going for in these paintings. Does them in oil, and they're just awesome. Also, Justin's son is really into Godzilla and has started to make these little stop-motion videos of his Godzilla figurines fighting or doing different things. And so you should go over to his YouTube page and watch a couple of those and just leave a comment. And those are so cool that he's doing that. Justin, this episode's for you, so hope you enjoy it. So I got into Marvel cards when I went to an arcade here in my own hometown, in the mall, and had a stack of tickets and didn't really know what to do with them. And just one of the prizes that they had were apparently the 1992 Marvel Universe card packs. I got a couple of them with the tickets that I had, and looked at them, put them back in my backpack, and completely forgot about it. And then when I showed up to school the next day and I was going through getting my books out or whatever, I ran across the cards again and showed them to my buddy sitting by me, and he thought they were the coolest thing ever. And then he convinced his parents to take him to the arcade after school so that he could get some Marvel Universe cards. Of course, you know, when we're 9 years old, you think the only place that I can get these is the one place where I saw them the one time. And so that's what we ended up doing, just going back to this arcade until finally they ran out of the cards. They didn't offer them anymore. And then we didn't know where we would find these things until we walked into a random toy store one time and ended up finding they did have a box of them, but it turned out to be the next series of the 93 cards or something. Anyway, there's this whole world that you didn't really understand how it worked when you were a kid. But these 1992 Marvel Universe cards, to me, this was the iconic look of comic books and the comic book art. I love the the look of these cards with kind of the whole universe around with these little inset different ones. This is one of the cosmic beings, Death. I've showed this card before. I got this very cheap, insanely cheap. And then I've got a PSA 10 of old Professor X. I wanted a 10 because I felt like I want something that I would have had, but I never would have kept it in this good of condition, and something that just, a perfect version of a card from this era that I would have collected. And I'm not trying to collect the whole set of 92 Marvel Universe or anything, but just a handful of these cards. I might end up picking up a couple more, maybe Silver Surfer or the Hulk or somebody like that. And while we're at it, I might as well open up the old T-Rex binder here, where you're immediately met with the 1990 Marvel Universe set. But the next page, you start to get into the whole series of these. And here's what the Hulk looks like. Silver Surfer. Super cool. Great art, great design on these. Moon Knight, that was a character I didn't know anything about, but I thought that card was so cool when I was a kid. And Justin's a big fan of Cable. He's kind of a Cable super collector. So I know he's just picking up a really nice graded version of the Cable card. I believe it's a PSA 10 is what he was able to get. And it's just an awesome card. But I've got the whole set. Just the handful of ones that I was never able to acquire. I just finally bought them the other night on ComC so that I could complete the run. I only needed 5 or 6. Some of the holograms I still need to complete the set, but I'll kind of go after those as I want. One of the cool things about these 90s cards is they'll have these battle cards that have 2 different characters fighting on it. So you get the Silver Surfer versus Thanos, which is part of the Infinity Gauntlet run. And that's a cool looking card. And ended up finding this one very affordably in one of the places where I was purchasing stuff on eBay. Grabbed that one for $10 or $15. Silver Surfer versus Mephisto, another part of kind of that little run, the comic story behind the Infinity Gauntlet. And Justin, just being such a cool guy and a good friend, ended up, he's been acquiring some of the newer stuff, and he ended up with a whole bunch of duplicates of stuff that he wasn't, that he didn't need. So he sent a bunch of stuff over to me and to my son, who's 5 years old. And Justin, I just wanted you to know that for whatever reason, Spot was William's favorite card of the ones that you gave to him. And then, so there was a whole stack of those that went to William. And then I ended up getting just a few of these. Awesome. Justin knows I like the comics, the cosmic, rather, storylines. And I also like Colossus, Daredevil, Ghost Rider, and Hulk. And there's Thanos as part of that whole cosmic storyline. But anyway, really appreciate that, Justin. That's awesome gesture. And one of the most iconic sets to me as a kid was when in 1993 they released this Marvel Masterpieces series. I know they also did one in 92. I think that maybe was the original set, but I came to it first in 93. And you just had this really unique artwork on it that was very different look and feel, style from anything in the comic books. And I just remembered just thinking this was, I mean, this Hulk card especially, that's another one I wanted in a 10. I remember thinking this was just insane. I couldn't believe it was just like, it was like real artwork, you know, an actual canvas painting with all of the intensity of that. And then on the set, they have the original appearance look of the characters back there too. And then this Ghost Rider is one that will haunt your dreams. That's just an incredible image. As Sienkiewicz, I want to say is the name of the artist who did these. He did this one in the Hulk and maybe another couple in that set. But those are just such cool, dynamic, expressive images of these iconic characters from the comic books. And so anyway, like, you know, it's not a huge collection. It's just a handful, and there's a handful more that I want to end up getting over the course of time. But I wanted to show those off here because this is a piece of my collection. You know, when we think about nostalgia, the things we grew up with, the things that we enjoyed when we were kids, comic books, especially in the early 90s, I mean, that was a big part of, I think, a lot of our lives, even if we didn't end up, I mean, I didn't read a ton of comic books, so I don't know all the story lines and the origin, all the origin stories, and, you know, I can't tell you all the different threads and when characters make first appearances or anything like that, but I came to comics through the cards, and just looking at that set and just imagining what the stories would be like with different characters and who their enemies were and all of that. That was just a fun part of my childhood. And honestly, I didn't even think of, you know, putting them in a top loader or a sleeve or anything like that. So a lot of my comic cards got pretty dented up over the years just because I handled them a lot, and I really didn't think of them like the baseball cards, you know, that I thought would hold some value. Of course, it turns out everything was junk wax anyway, but that's part of the folly of the time. But anyway, that's my collection here of comic book cards, Marvel cards. I had a little bit of the DC cards that they started to release around the same time, but those never held the same interest for me. I didn't connect with the characters as much, and I had a few of the comics, but nothing that really drew me in the way that the Marvel cards did. But anyway, I appreciate you all taking the time to watch, and Justin, you know, praying for you, and continue to follow with you, and we'll keep up via text and phone calls and hangouts and whatnot. But anyway, my friend, appreciate you taking the time to watch, and we'll see you next time.
In the dark eyes and mouth. Here's Forge with his quick draw gun action. Look out. And Mr. Sinister with his light up chest. These aren't ordinary men. They're X-Men. X-Men figures, each sold separately from Toy Biz.